you want to see that team toughness. You want to see either responding with another big hit or just not being so easy to knock off the puck or, dare I say, drop the gloves. Like, in a game like that, with the way things have been going, that is where a fight could potentially help you out. And welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 181. That is Conor Ryan. I am Evan Marinofsky. Conor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. It's great to talk to you 2 straight days. Now with Poke the Bear going twice a week. Usually when I'm on at the end of the week, or so we kind of space them out. You do Bruins Beat at the beginning, but you get us 2 straight days. What else could you want as a listener?
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, what else could you want? Ty Anderson said, "You know what? I gotta let Evan take this. Here you go, Evan. It's all you."
I mean, it's fitting, Evan, because we recorded Bruins Beat earlier on this week, and we were talking about the fact the Bruins had some struggles against the Red Wings, the Rangers, and we're like, you know what? Those are 2 playoff teams that are in the mix are going to be good. You're going to have those kind of stinkers like that. Now, if they lose to the Blue Jackets, then they might be maybe that's why we're talking today, where we're, once again, revisiting what we discussed yesterday, and we're here to either tell Bruins fans to relax or maybe delve into a little bit of the misery going on with this team right now. But I felt like it was really fitting to talk right after we're like, don't worry about the Blue Jackets. That team sucks. And then they smoked the Bruins in that game.
We got to stop underestimating teams. I was thinking about it yesterday. I remember as the Bruins wilted in that first round last year, the YouTube comments kept being like, Evan, you said the Panthers sucked. You said the series was over. What happened? Evan, you jinxed the Bruins. So I'm done saying teams are bad. Thursday's game against the Sharks, it's up for grabs. Sharks have a legit chance. You know what I'm going to say it? Sharks gonna steamroll the Bruins on Thursday. It's over. The season's done.
Clip it.
I said it.
Clip it. We got
Clip it.
Yep.
Bam. It's over. The season is so over. So maybe I need to start doing that so I can reverse the way it goes. Anyways, Bruins lose Monday night in a rare Monday game. It was weird. I was going through my Monday, finished recording Bruins Beat, and then I'm like, oh shoot, Bruins play tonight. Rough one. 5-2 the final. Honestly, 5-2 is kind of close given how that game went. Was not a good one, especially those first 2 periods. A lot of mental mistakes, just lots of shit you thought they'd clean up after Detroit and the Rangers. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably rock bottom for this season so far, and you hope, if you're a Bruins fan, that is the rock bottom, at least in the regular season. You get bounced in the playoffs, and that is obviously the rock bottom.
I saw someone comment like, damn, I'm used to seeing them do this in April, not in November. And I said, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that Rangers game, ugly. At least like that team, the Bruins were coming back at various times. It was frustrating because they just couldn't complete, those a couple of rallies they had in that game. But at least there was some pushback throughout until kind of the jam broke there in the third period. This game, Bruins kind of started off pretty well. They get that early power play, and after that, it just goes a complete nosedive. I mean, again, this is not the 27 Yankees. This isn't like the 88 Oilers or something that you're playing up against. This is a pretty bad Blue Jackets team that also is on the second leg of a back-to-back. They played Carolina on Sunday, and they kicked their ass for most of this game. So, I don't think it was anything different from what we've seen over this extended lull. I mean, it's the goaltending has not been at an elite level, but I think it all comes down to the defensive intensity in front of them. Mental lapses in execution. Rush defense is still really poor. And also, I think it's just one of those when it rains, it pours, right? Like you have that one goal where Grzelcyk misplays the puck. Right down the other end of the ice leads to a goal, right? Like it's
after
right
like a 2-minute long offensive zone
shift.
sequence.
Yeah, if there was a time where the momentum was going to shift, it was that sequence. The one miscue leads to a goal in 2-3 seconds. So that's kind of just how this team is going right now. But that being said, it's not like it's just bad luck or a few bad bounces. Like this is losing hockey the Bruins are playing right now. They need to get out of it because right now it's however you want to look at it, whether it's the defense, whether it's the offense not executing, not possessing the puck, bringing the puck down low, just all these small details that contribute to winning hockey that we've seen from this team over the last couple of years. You're not seeing it all right now. And, a Blue Jays team that is a ways away from contending looked like the better team by miles on Monday night.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, Montgomery you're really seeing him deploy tactics to try to change up the game fast. I mean, you saw it on Saturday, calling that timeout in the first period. And then they get the 2 goals. It works. Then New York has to call a timeout. And then you saw it again on Monday, pulling Jeremy Swayman after just 2 goals. Now, neither goal was great to give up, but it was a real sort of message sender to that group of, like, guys, like, you are completely screwing your goalies who have saved your asses all season. Play a little bit better in front of them. It's funny, like, you think, all right, team's been struggling. They responded well to that, to Montgomery on Saturday, at least after that timeout. I thought, you know what? It's a game against Columbus. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. They bring in Omar. That's going to be the spark. Like, against a Columbus team like that, they're going to find a way. And they didn't. And again, it is concerning. It is. It is legitimately concerning. And again, I go back to something I said on Bruins Beat on Tuesday. I'm glad that they're facing this now because, again, I don't know how far this is going to go. There was an interesting tweet from Steve Conroy that I found to be an intriguing thought. When they turned in a rare stinker last year, they had the power to say this stops here. They're not good enough to will themselves to be better this year. I don't think he's far off. I don't think he's wrong because they don't have the roster to just go, we're good now. I think, I'm curious what you think about that and if this is something that is going to plague them all year or if they can just pull themselves right out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a little bit in between, right? They're not good enough or they're not deep enough, especially to just will themselves into a winning streak, right? You look at last year, obviously you knew the big guns that were leading the way for that team, but it seemed like every couple of games, it was the insert player's name here game. You had like a 2-goal game from Frederick, a 2-goal game from DeBrusque. Taylor Hall made an impact on the third line. Clifton made a big play. Forbert killed, 6 minutes of shorthanded ice time. Like every single one of those games throughout it. Yes, you had the Bergerons, the Krejcis, the Pasternaks, all those guys, but that team was so deep that it felt like every few games someone else really kind of stood up and pulled on the rope. And this year, it's just going to be a little bit different because you just don't have that same amount of depth. And you've got a lot of younger players in that lineup. You got a lot of guys figuring out new roles, a lot of turnover, and a lot of guys that are elevated in different spots. And I think, you still have a very good team. Like, you still have the best 1-2 punch in net. You still have a defense that should be better. Like, you have to imagine this team is not going to end up being where they are now. I think they're like 18th and high danger scoring chances allowed. Like, if there's an area where I think they can definitely improve, it's defense. You've got the personnel, the system in place. You just got to kind of get your shit together, more or less, right? But I think when you look at just the way this team is operating right now, it's all about collectively buying in. I don't think this is a will thing where you have to will yourself into wins when you don't have that depth and that maybe overall skill set in place, but you just need everyone to pull on the rope a little bit more and play just simple hockey, right? It's what we said before. It's just being responsible in your own end, making short, simple plays, possessing the puck down low. Like, it's not like this team there's a lot of outliers that have contributed to this. It's kind of the same thing over and over again. Not to be harsh, Evan, but it's kind of like watching the Patriots. It's the same shit every week, and it's not as disastrous as what's going on in Foxborough, but it's the same correctable things that you have to imagine this team with the amount of veterans they have, the amount of guys that have been in Montgomery, Cassidy's system, all that stuff, they can get their way out of it. It's all about just kind of adhering to that game plan as opposed to reinventing the wheel or doing anything drastic to get out of this losing streak.
You scare me with the Patriots comparison, but there is one thing that the Bruins continue to do, and they continue to have problems with it. They had problems with it against Florida last year. But first, quickly, Connor, a quick word from our sponsor.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you got your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
So I mentioned that the Bruins keep doing something, and it's interesting because Columbus last night, or Monday night, continued to clog the middle. Pretty good forecheck. Not a bad forecheck. And locked on wings on the along the wall pretty well, high in the zone. This is one thing that the Bruins continue to have trouble with. Breaking the puck out. Moving the puck. Derek Forbort, I think it was either the first or second goal that Columbus scored. It all started with a turnover. The first one. Okay, first one. Hampus Lindholm continues to have some trouble moving the puck out of his own zone, which is so uncharacteristic. With Forbort, you sort of expect it. It's like, dude, all right, just chip it off the glass and, like, whatever. Let there be a 50-50 puck battle in the neutral zone. Lindholm, you're paying as a moving defenseman. And I think that's what's a little scary is some of these guys, again, Grzelcyk, the puck hopping off his stick. Shit happens. I'm not going to get all over him for that. I mean, again, he's a good puck mover. That just stuff happens like that. And again, when it rains, it pours. But when you're failing to move the puck out of your own zone and you're just making bad reads and you're making bad decisions and teams are collapsing on you like that, that's when it's like, all right, is there something here that they're showing that's going to be a problem down the road? And it was last year against Florida. Like, that was their main problem, was they just continued to turn the puck over coming out of their own zone. And again, I go back to, like, it's good this is coming up now because hopefully there's some sort of fix they can put in the breakout or something, because this keeps popping up. And again, as I said, with a guy like Forbort, you get it, but with someone like Lindholm, that's when I do start to panic a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that you saw last year. It's the same thing where they're really struggling against really effective forechecks, really struggling with speed, which is not good because you look at those teams are all going to be in the playoffs again. Again, we've kind of talked about what the Bruins can take away from other teams that have gone deep. A lot of a recurring theme is, not really rush-heavy teams. It's forecheck heavy, a lot of speed, closing in quick, and they've not shown, they don't have the track record of combating that. And I think for this team, the most important thing right now, at least, in order to get right, is you need your big guns to execute in kind of those simple plays, right? Like, Lindholm has not been very good over this stretch. I even look at, like, Brad Marchand has 0 points in his last 4 games. A lot of plays are dying on his stick where he's either, I think, trying to do too much. You saw that. I think doing too much is kind of the prevailing theme, right? You look at, like, that Tampa Bay game, doing too much when you could have just cleared the puck there instead of trying to get the empty net goal. Overthinking things. I think it all comes down to simplifying the game a little bit. We can talk a little bit more once you get in past this lull of how this team can kind of change things up to combat those forecheck heavy teams. But right now, I think it's all about not dealing with what teams are throwing at you, but limiting your own mistakes. Because right now, a lot of it is this team doing self-inflicted things that are leading to goals in the back of the net. So I agree that when you look at just how this team is matched up against those kind of high-intensity forechecking team, it's not great. But I think what's contributed more during at least this lull is a lot of stuff that's self-inflicted, taking bad penalties, failing to make those easy reads, those clears, and that's what's really kind of cost them over this last, I would say, week plus, but they've given up, I think, 5+ goals in, I think, 5 of their last 11 games. It's not a winning formula, Evan, I would say.
No, it isn't. And I want to get to what this means bigger picture, because you mentioned, like, what kind of team is this? Another thing, like, you mentioned the self-inflicted wounds. I texted you this during the game. I think it was in all caps. I forget which goal it was. It was the one where Zacha's stick broke, and instead of staying on the ice, he went right off. But if you look, Pasternak just puck watches and just completely levitates towards the corner and leaves his point guy wide open, which forces Kevin Shattenkirk to come out a bit and leave his guy to screen Swayman. And it's little things like that with Pasternak where it's like, dude, just stay in your spot. Like, that's a self-inflicted wound. I don't mean to pile on Pasternak too much, but there was also that play on the 2-on-0 with, I think it was Marchand, that Spencer Martin slashed him in the stomach on.
Shit out of him.
Out of him. I mean, just like, whoosh. Like, shoot it. I don't know. Like, to me, I get it. I get what you're trying to do, but goals aren't coming easy. Just shoot the puck. You're the best shot on the team. So this is a bigger thing. What is this team? Because again, right now, I believe they're still in first place in the Atlantic, unless they've.
I think the Rangers. The Panthers and the Leafs are getting pretty close, and I think the Rangers have leapfrogged them in the East overall. But
yeah, I gotta pull this up because Rangers and Bruins as of Tuesday afternoon are tied with 31 points, and Florida is 4 points behind them at 27. Detroit's right there, by the way, too. Detroit, who just got Patrick Kane for $2.75 million. Just another $2 million. What was it? His quota. That's my quote. Santa Claus. Some people are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Real ones know, Evan. Real ones
know. Yes, real ones absolutely know. This is why, to me, not to pat myself on the back here, because again, this is a long season, I got them third in the Atlantic. They are a very solid playoff team. But to me, the main reason, and I know you agree with me on this, the main reason they are in first place and they started out so good is because of their goaltending. They're getting otherworldly goaltending. If you just make the goalies solid, they are just I'm not trying to like demean them or be like, oh, this team sucks. No, they're a middle of the pack Eastern Conference playoff team. To me, that's how they're built. Again, if they continue to play like the way they did to start the year and up until, like last week, great. If you keep winning like that. But to me, this feels like water kind of finding its level a bit in them sort of falling back down to earth. What do you think?
Yeah, you're somewhere in the middle, maybe in the upper tier in terms of,
yes.
You're not a 500 team, but no, you're not a team that's 14-1-3, but you're not whatever the hell this is the last week plus, right? You're still a team that I think should be second or third in the Atlantic. You might want to change that opinion now based on just how strong the start was, that it's kind of going to be disappointing if they do just slide down completely to second or third. Again, I think the Bruins maybe will take that, but no, I agree, Evan. Like, you're still a team that has enough star power up front, especially, has the personnel. The personnel on defense hasn't shown itself yet, but you have the talent there in the back end and the goaltending in place. You should be a tough out every single night, and that's been more or less the case for most of this year. So I still think they're a playoff. I think they're not a wild card team. I think they are a second or third place in the Atlantic, a team that should be a pretty tough out in the playoffs. I think a lot we'll see how things develop there. You haven't really seen some of that maybe toughness that you thought you were going to get. Again, some other circumstances played into that in terms of some of the personnel you have out there. But I still think this is still a team that should be very competitive, should be a pain in the ass to play against in the playoffs if both your goalies are playing at a high level. But yeah, this was never a team that realistically was going to be on a stretch to challenge last year's record-setting pace. Like, just didn't make sense. I do think that's what it has to be, is second or third in the Atlantic is the feasible option we're going into the year with. I think that's more or less going to be the case.
Yeah, I just think they're sort of falling back down to earth a bit. One thing, you mentioned the toughness, and this was something I wanted to talk about for a bit. In that Blue Jackets game, would have been nice to see either a big hit or just not get knocked off the puck so much. You're just kind of getting dogged around a bit, and that's where, again, you want to see that team toughness. You want to see either responding with another big hit or just not being so easy to knock off the puck, or, dare I say, drop the gloves. Like, in a game like that, with the way things have been going, that is where a fight could potentially help you out, just in sort of growing team morale. So that is one area where I would have liked to have seen, when it was getting down there in that third period and they were playing like crap, it's like, all right, this is where you do drop the gloves, or you do have, someone not take a run at someone from the Blue Jackets, but, lay someone out. I don't know, nail someone. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm 300 years old, but like a little toughness would go a long way, I think, in something like this. One other thing I want to mention, the Atlantic Division right now, because again, my Wi-Fi is still working, which is great, even though I'm on the ESPN app. This is a big development. This is happening. This is big. Bruins getting in first at 31 points. Florida behind them at 27. Detroit 25. Tampa 25. Toronto 23. And then you got Buffalo at 22. All those teams are going to be competing for those three spots at the top. And, again, when Tampa gets Vasilevsky back, Toronto at some point might figure it out. It's going to be, pretty competitive at the top. Now, again, that's good that the Bruins started so hot because they do have those points, not banked, but they're sort of, they've established themselves as the main threat in the Atlantic. But again, that's why, again, you're going to have to figure this stuff out because Detroit, Buffalo, Toronto, Tampa, those teams, Florida, who's looked pretty good so far, they're going to be coming at you, and they're going to be, gunning for that top spot. So again, I think that's another reason why you sort of need to figure things out here. Quick break in the action to tell you about our delicious friends over at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut, but keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week. There's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. Turn to HelloFresh Market for yummy add-ons and enjoy the season's limited time fall flavors lineup. It's that time of year, right? Things get you in the mood, like apple cider cake with caramel sauce. All the ingredients come fresh, from the crushed tomatoes to the Italian chicken sausage mix to the Parmesan cheese. It's delicious, and I feel like a chef when I'm doing it. What's better than that? And this is a busy time of year for me with hockey starting up. I don't always have a ton of time, so this recipe makes it quick to enjoy something amazing. So join in on the fun. Go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Now, back to the show. Rookies, though, the only bright spot of that game on Monday night, Patra gets his first goal in 10 games, and Beecher's got 3 in 5. So again, I think if there's anything positive to take away, the rookies are scoring.
Yeah, exactly. You're seeing more of those guys contribute. I think it was good to see Patra get on the board there. I think it's his first goal in 10 games. So, again, I think people expected a little bit of a lull here, as will be the case for any rookie, especially a guy who's 19 years old. To be expected. I'm very curious to see if Montgomery switches up his lines a little bit more. It seems like they want to go away from that Marchand, Zacha, Pastrnak line. So does Marchand get back with Patra? We see how that kind of maps out there. But I think the one thing you haven't had to really worry about is Beecher at 4C. I think he's probably been their most consistent rookie so far this year in terms of what the job is, right? Like, it's not easy for any young player to go right into the league and all of a sudden you're getting 15% ozone starts, usually against top 6 opponents. You're tasked with, if you're not doing well on faceoffs, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, get hemmed in your zone a whole lot of times. And he's been really good there. And I think we've said before, like, he has the skill set to be a very effective fourth-line center. The question is he going to be a solid kind of foot soldier, or is he potentially an elite bottom 6 guy out there? And I think it depends on if he can give you 10, 15 goals, further on in his career. And that's been kind of the biggest question mark from him. And right now it seems like it's paying off, right? Like, he's just doing the simple things, getting to the front of the net, generating grade A chances. He's had a few really good goals as well of just, showcasing that shot that he has. But if he's, landing punches down there on the fourth line, doing more than what I think a lot of Bruins fans expected from him, at least during his rookie season, I think he's been really good all year long.
That's the thing. I mean, again, you go back to like how much the top 9 have been juggled and trying guys here, and Montgomery kind of just, chefing it up and throwing different guys together. Beecher and the fourth line have always been sort of steady. And that's what you want. You don't want to have to continue to move those guys around. So again, I agree with you. I think it's been really encouraging with Beecher. And the other thing I'll add about Patra is, there have been some down games, but for the most part, I mean, he has been doing the little things right. The effort is there.
Yeah.
And it was good to see him get rewarded on Monday night. Again, just going to the net. Kind of a lucky play that McAvoy's puck jumped off his stick. But still, I mean, again, I think it's still been encouraging overall what he's given you. Now, again, I think with the way Coyle has played, you haven't really needed Patra to step into the top 6 and be, a go-to guy for points, which I honestly think is kind of good for him. Again, you get to kind of settle in to maybe a smaller role before taking on a bigger one. And it's interesting, when you look at this team and, we can save this for another episode, but, you look at sort of the surprises, or not the surprise, but sort of the things that have been steady. Center has been kind of steady. Coyle's second on the team in points. Zaka's been producing. You look at Patra's fit in fine. I mean, he hasn't produced a ton in the last 10 games or so, but again, the play has been solid. And Beecher,
he has 10 points. He's still been solid for at the end of the year. He's on a 40-point pace, so.
That's awesome. That's perfect for a rookie year, especially at 19 years old. And again, it's more so been the wings, which have been something that have not been as consistent as you thought, and the defense, which we kind of just sort of took for granted coming into this year. But they have a lot to work out. In the coming week or so. But Connor, what can people look forward to from you over at Boston.com and the Boston Globe?
Yeah, we'll have you covered every step of the way this season, whether it's game recaps, features, columns, breakdowns, all that good stuff. And you can read all of that over at Boston.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You poke the bear, listeners. Have a great rest of your week.